Let's now have a look at the menu called Preferences. Now, before I actually go into adding on products and building my online store, the very first thing that I would do is I would actually go into this menu Preferences and I would set up all the available options here. Then I would go to localization, set all the available options here, and then I would actually go and start building my online store. So let's have a look at the preferences. The very first option here is the general. Basically in the general we have a couple of the options, and the very first one right at the top is whether or not to enable the secure socket layer. Then we come to the increase front office security. Now this is the back office once again, and the front office is the actual web page, and basically by enabling this or disabling this token, it will actually have some influence on the front office and whether or not we want to improve Prestashop security. Okay, then we come to the iframes on the HTML fields, whether or not we want to enable this, yes or no. Then we come to the round mode. Now round mode is something to do with the prices and taxes and everything else. So basically when we are rounding, whether we want to round up the prices or to round down, we have a drop down menu here. We have the superior, inferior, and the classic option. So basically when we're talking about a superior, this is basically rounding up. When we're talking about the inferior, we are rounding down, and we actually have the classic. So basically this will round up the value depending on the value itself. So it will round it up if it's actually above 0.5, and it will round it down if it's actually below 0.5. The next option here is actually display the suppliers and manufacturers. You can enable or disable this. You can have a multiple stores, and by actually enabling this you would have multiple stores, and then you can come here and choose your main shop's activity. So basically what is it that your shop is actually trying to sell, or the activity. So you have many different options here. For example, jewelry, you can go into download, babies, art and culture, and whatnot. Okay, so once you make all the changes here, make sure you actually hit on the save button located as usual at the lower right corner. Okay, moving into the orders, and this is basically how your orders will be displayed. Right at the top in the general section you have the actual order process type, whether or not to use a standard 5-step order process, or you can actually go into one-page checkout. And I strongly suggest you actually go through both of those and see what those are. And by the default it's actually set up to a 5-step process where you actually go into adding something to your online card, and logging in, identifying your payment source and everything else, or you can just have all that done in one page. Okay, so then we have the enable guest checkout. So do we want our guests, people who are not registered with our online store, to actually go through a checkout? I personally would actually keep this as no, as I would only like to have people that are registered within my online store to actually go through a checkout. Now minimum purchase total required in order to validate the order. So basically if you have a minimum amounts of, in this case euros for example, this is excluding tax, which you would like to have. So basically this is a minimum purchase on your online store. So for example I can enter 10 here, and any order below 10 euros will not be considered as a valid order. Then I have the delay shipping, yes or no. Terms of services, whether I would like my customers to actually go through the terms of services and actually agree to this term and services, yes or no. And if I select yes, I have actually here a link which will actually show which will show those terms and conditions of use. So basically you would select from different pages, and those are all the pages that I currently have here. And basically, since we are talking about terms and conditions, I'm going to select terms and conditions of use. Then we come to the gifts. First of all, there is a offer gift wrapping, so whether or not you would like to wrap gifts. Then there's the price, there's the tax, and whether or not to use the recycled packages. Once again, once you finish with each of these sections, make sure you hit on that section's save button. Moving down the list, we'll come to the products, and this is basically how your products are actually displayed, and this is all the required information about the products themselves. So let's start with the general catalog mode, yes or no. Product comparison, so basically you can select how many products you would like to compare between each other. So for example, if you're selling many different mobile phones. You might have an iPhone or Samsung or Galaxy or whatever, and you can actually go and compare those 3 products in this case. So you can enter a different number here and have, for example, 5, and actually compare those 5 products. Number of days for which the product is considered to be new. At the moment, by the default, it's set to 20. You can change this to maybe in 5 days, 10 days, whatever you would like. So after that, the product will not be considered as a new product. Redirecting after adding a product to the cart. So we can go to the previous page, or we can go to the cart summary. Maximum number for short description. There's something that's called a short description. This will give some short description of your product, and here you would enter the maximum number of characters. So when you're actually adding a product, you would enter the short description, and this short description cannot be more than whatever value of characters you enter here. Now, if you do have some discounts, would you like them to be based on products or the combinations? So for example, if you buy a mobile phone and you actually get a case for that mobile phone, you will get a discount, then you would select combination here. However, if you buy 10 mobile phones, you get a discount, then you would select products. And then you have the force update of freely URL. You can select yes, or you can select no. Once again, there's the save button here. Then we'll come to something that's to do with the products per page. By the default, it's 12, the order in which they appear, and the default order method here as well. You can select that from the drop down menu. Going a bit more down, we'll come to the products page, and this is basically how your page will be set up on your front office or your web page. So display available quantities on the products page, yes or no. Display the remaining quantity when the quantity is lower than. So basically what this is saying, if there is less than 3 products, do we actually want to display this on our page? Okay, so for example, if I only have 2 of my phones of this particular type in my stock, and this is below this number here, this will actually be displayed. Then we have something to do with the JQ zoom. So basically when the customer clicks on a picture, whether we want to enable this instead of tick box on the page product. Okay, then we have display the unavailable product attributes on the products page, yes or no. Display to add to cart button when the product has attributes, yes or no. Then we have the separator, and the last option in the products page is the display discounted price. I would strongly suggest yes here. This is a good way of marketing, and once again I will click on save here. We come to the product stock now. Allow ordering of out of stock products, yes or no. So if I do not have something in stock, do I want to enable my customers to actually go ahead and order this? If you have it somewhere else and you're sure you can actually get it as quickly as your customers would like, you can select yes. Then you have the enable stock management, yes or no. Enable advanced stock management, and the new products use advanced stock management. If you're not sure what those are, I strongly suggest you actually have a little read about what a advanced stock management is, and then come back here and decide whether or not to enable those two. Okay, moving into the customers now. In the customers menu, we only have the general options here and register process type. Now you can actually select only account creation or actually standard. So what standard means is that the account creation and the address creation will be done during the registration process, and I will leave that, as I will actually get the address as well, and this is the address to which the products will be sent. Whether or not phone number is a required field, whether or not cart redisplay at the login. So basically what this means is once, for example, a customer has logged back into the online store, or your online store, would you like the e-card from the previous purchase to be displayed? At the moment, by the default, it's set to no. You can always choose it and leave it as yes. The next option here is to do with the email after the registration. Would you like to send an email? I strongly suggest you leave it as yes, as this is the normal procedure. Then we have the regenerate password. So basically when a customer wants to regenerate or change the password, for example, if they have for some reason lost their password, I cannot remember it, how many minutes after they actually request the password, would the password be changed. 360 minutes in my case, in my opinion, it's long for this particular case, and I would change it to maybe 3, 5, 10 minutes. And basically this is just to do with the security and just to make sure that no people or unauthorized people are actually trying to log in into authorized accounts. The last option here will actually give you enable business to business mode, yes or no. Okay, that was the customers. Moving into the themes now.